I expect Hoyer to get the start. They might bring Stidham later. Belichick's probably going to treat this game like a glorified, um, preseason game. So that's going to be a tough one. A lot of people are going to be on Mahomes and his weapons, but got to remember, without Cam, I mean, Hoyer's serviceable, but they don't really have the best talent on the outside anyway. Can't get a lot of separation, so this game might blow out. Might see a lot more running. I mean, obviously the Patriots want to run. Everyone wants to run against the Chiefs and dominate time of possession, keep Mahomes off the clock, and keep the entire offense off the clock, off the field. But good luck with that shit. Yeah, it's going to be a dumpster fire. So I'm probably going to mostly target the other game. I do have a little bit of showdown. Let's kind of take a look here at, I guess we'll do a kind of breakdown of the position by position for the 2-game. I love 2-game slates. I play the prime time all the time, the Monday, Thursday, the Sunday, Monday. Tend to do pretty well there. I like Showdown a lot too. I actually probably am more consistent in Showdown than I am in anything else, especially for like single entry tournaments and things like that where you can be a little more creative. All right, so I got the DraftKings pricing up here. Obviously at the top you got Patrick Mahomes. You're just a sheer monster. The only concern I have with him is that 7,600, man, he's going to have to blow it up. And this game might not shoot out. I mean, this would have been such a good game to target if Cam was playing. But with Hoyer in there, I just don't know that he's going to get enough upside. He might wind up handing the ball off a lot in the second half. They might just blow out New England. So we'll see. New England has pretty good, I think, in between 7th and 10th ranked for both run and passing defense this year. Kind of hard to say like exactly where they are. They're not as good as they were last year, for sure. Lost a lot of key people to COVID, free agency, whatever, opting out. But I don't think it really matters. The one thing you want to keep in mind, just if you're gonna play Kansas City, is that Bill Belichick is really good at taking stuff away from you. In the past, he has done a very good job of taking Tyreek Hill out of the game or Kelsey. Usually what you'll see some Stephon Gilmore on Sammy Watkins and then a bracketed coverage on Tyreek Hill. So that means that Kelsey is usually a little bit less, less D'd up. But the problem is he does like to send people after Patrick and put a lot of pressure on that O-line. So Kelsey might therefore be nullified a little bit because he's got a chip before he gets out on his route or block. We'll have to see how that plays out tonight. There are games where Tyreek Hill is taken away completely against New England secondary. There are games where he blows up. Pick your poison. I'm probably going to play some Tyreek Hill. I'll probably play Kelsey. I probably won't play them both in the same lineup on this 2-game. On the Showdown, I may have some laps that have them both. Aaron Rodgers has been nothing short of dominant this year. He's definitely one of the top QBs, probably top 3 or 4, honestly, in the league this year for fantasy. My only concern is that if Devontae Adams is out, he no longer has the targets. I mean, you saw Lazard go out last week. He's not going to play. E Street Brown isn't going to play. He is going to be primarily throwing the ball this week to MVS, who I like, and then he's going to be throwing to a couple of scrubs who no one's ever heard of. We'll kind of go through that on the wide receiver page. And Tanyan is his tight end. One thing I noticed with Green Bay is they are running more tight ends out into routes to make up for their lack of depth at wide receiver. So we'll kind of cover that as we get to wide receiver and tight end more. This is the game that I'm targeting more. This Green Bay Atlanta game should shoot out. Both these guys are throwing the ball a lot. Both of them are kind of weak against the rush too. So it just makes more sense. From a implied team total, this game will probably have the higher combined score and therefore the most fantasy upside. Brian Hoyer can suck a dick. I mean, he's a solid backup. He's a solid dude. I don't have anything against the guy personally, but he needs I mean, in a tournament, he's not a terrible play, especially if you're mass entering, because he does only need to get you about 2 touchdowns, a couple 100, 250 yards, and he's getting his money there. And then you can spend up at other people, but it's like, do you really want to stack that offense? I don't, and I'm a Patriots fan. All right, running backs. At the top, most obvious play of the night is going to be Aaron Jones. He's going to get some receptions, plenty of rushing upside. Atlanta cannot stop the run. With the lack of receiving options, I think that's even more upside, and that's why he's priced up as much as he is. But I definitely think I'm locking him in. Probably the majority of my lineups. Right below the Fresh Prince of Hilaire. Couple things about Clyde Edwards. I like him in that the game script probably shows that Kansas City is dominating New England. New England's run defense is pretty stout. Edwards is a smaller guy, and he's had a lot of trouble in the red zone, but I'm sure they'll figure out ways to get him the ball. Definitely got the volume going for him. Plenty of targets in the receiving game, too. So for DraftKings, which is my primary play, the full PPR is nice. Definitely want to get me some of that. And then, for my flex option, if I'm running a third running back in my flex option, this is where it gets a little tricky. You got Gurley, who looked really good last week. Definitely the primary running back now in Atlanta, and Green Bay does not do well against the run. So I like that. Very favorable matchup for him. He's getting some receiving game action as well. Not a lot, but definitely a lot of opportunity for him. And then below him, though, with the Patriots, man, it is. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be on Burkhead, but people got to realize Burkhead took his 6 or 7, touches that he normally would get, and he took all of James White's. James White, tragically, his father died in a car wreck. His mom's in critical condition. That he's been out for the last couple of weeks. Now that he's playing, I actually prefer him to Burkhead. He's a little cheaper. In the past years that they've liked to line him up as a wideout. They might do that more here as well. I feel like they just want to get this guy a touchdown. He's a captain. He's having a tough time. Obviously, thoughts and prayers go out to that guy's family. He's been nothing but class for his career. So if I play anybody, I'll probably play White over Burkhead. It might hurt me, but I'm sure he'll be a little bit less owned. People will still be thinking about Burkhead and all those touches he got while White was out the last couple of weeks. One other person I will point out, if we go down here, well, actually two. Darrell Williams, backup running back, gets a fair amount of targets in the passing game, some goal line work as well. If you really feel like you're building a script where Casey is just blowing the doors off in New England, which is entirely possible this evening, he might not be a bad cheap play. He's not super cheap at 4K, but in the showdown, I think he's a little bit better priced. But all the way down here, Damian Harris, they like this kid a lot in New England. He got a bunch of touches last week. Sonny Michel is not playing, so Damian Harris looks to be a person who could pick up more of the running between the tackles kind of touches. The only issue there is, are the Patriots going to be keeping pace enough with Kansas City to consistently run the way they like to, or will they abandon that? But 4,000 I'm not thrilled about here, but he's like $300 or $200 or something stupid like that on the showdown, so definitely a good play on the showdown slate between the Chiefs and the Patriots for some value, so you can pay up for some of the studs on the other side. All right, let's go to a wide receiver. All right, so at the top we got Calvin Ridley. This dude is dominating air yards, touchdowns, looks, every stat you can imagine. A little of that will calm down now that Julio Jones is back. I still like him a lot in this game. And in the 2 game, I'm definitely stacking him with Julio and with Matty Ryan. It's just a good stack for price point, and then you can bring it back with, either you can either ignore. You can ignore Green Bay now that Adams is out, or you could bring it back with MVS. It will be popular. Tanyan as well, the tight end. Gage looks to be a good play as well. Sammy Watt, I really am hesitant to play tonight because I feel like with the way that he gets covered by Gilmore in New England, that's a tough matchup for Sammy Watt. Hartman, on the other end, I like. He's been in a lot of gadget plays more. I mean, Demarcus Robinson's still seeing the field a lot more than him, but we saw last week Hartman, with his wheels, his presence in the return game, they seem to be using him more for gadgety stuff. Maybe more of that in store this week as well. Really like N'Keal Harry. I mean, I don't like anyone from New England really, outside of Jules, but he's a little priced up. He's not a bad play if you're stacking that game. But yeah, it's Harry and Bird are the other two outside the numbers guys with Jewel in the slot. So Harry at his price point looked to be pretty good. I mean, this was all the value from yesterday. From if Cam went to tested positive, that would have crushed it. Bird, it's hard to say what kind of rapport Hoyer has. We didn't see a preseason. I mean, Hoyer's been on the team since last year, so he's practiced with Harry more than he's practiced with Bird, I think, and obviously Jules. So I mean, I'm sure he'll look to them more. What do we got here? We talked about Robinson a little. He'll be on the field. Pick your poison between him and Hartman. When you get down to green base guys, you've got interesting kind of. And again on the showdown, Shepard is like freaking $1,000, I think, and Taylor's like 200, or maybe it's the other way around. Shepard's got. He's been on the field more, but he has not done jack, except for drop it. I think he's dropped the ball a few times. I think Taylor has a bigger body. He's a bigger sized guy. So if I pick one of these guys, I might go to Taylor over Shepard. I have to relook at those prices. But on the showdown, they were like $200 or $400. It was like a joke. Only other guy I'm going to talk about here is Jacoby Myers, $200 in the showdown tonight. Minimum salary $3,000 for the 2-game. I don't like him in the 2-game, but in the showdown for value, something happens to one of the other receivers. He was bigger last year, had a good rapport with Tom Brady. Brian Hoyer knows him, repped with him last year. So, and he's a pretty good sized guy, plays well in the slot, plays well on the outside. Not sure if they'll use him or not. But yeah, definitely somebody to keep an eye on as maybe a dart throw for, a tournament when you're mass entering, or even just doing like a 3-max. You got to differentiate yourself somehow. All right, so tight end. Obviously, Kelce is going to be the most owned, and rightfully so. He's a target monster, red zone monster. Don't mind him at all. Have him in some of my lineups, but the way pricing's working out with receivers and stuff, I may be omitting him as well, hoping that New England can bottle him up, moving to Tanyan. As I kind of alluded to earlier, the completely depleted receiving core of Green Bay has forced them in the last few weeks to put Tanyan and Sternberger, and whoever the fuck else they could find at tight end. I think we got another one somewhere. But these two guys particularly more involved in the passing game, running a lot of routes. So Tanyan is a pretty easy pivot for me tonight off of Kelce. I don't mind Hayden Hurst either, but I just feel like with Gage, Ridley, and Julio Jones all ready to go, he's going to get less looks. And, it's not like he's been blowing it out of the water. I mean, he caught a touchdown last week on his one target, I think, or on his one catch. But, yeah, if you look at his target share, it's not really impressive considering the injuries. Certainly a boomer bust kind of play, but at 4,200, I might as well pivot down to a guy, Tanyan, who obviously fucking Aaron Rodgers is liking this guy. He's targeting him more recently. And, yeah, I mean, if this target trend continues, probably 5 to 8 targets, maybe he catches like 5 of them, 6 of them. You don't need much to pay off if that price falls in the end zone once or twice. Take a shot at Sternberger. Not a huge fan. Maybe on the showdown I would take him. Ryan Izzo, I do like him more on the showdown where he's 1,800, 28. I'll pass, but I mean, they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. Tight end is a safety blanket. This guy's on the field a lot. They have 2 really good young tight ends down here in Assessi and Keene. These guys are both playmakers, but haven't really seen much action as of yet. So not at that price, but in the showdown slate, I think they're really cheap. I might take a shot with one of them. It's always that guy on the showdown, that one tight end 2 or 3, or that fullback, that wide receiver at the bottom of the depth chart that catches that touchdown that blows up the whole entire slate. All right. Defense, pick one. Look at your lineup and pick the one that makes the most sense. Like, if you're playing all Chiefs, don't pick the Patriots defense. You know, there's no real good choice here. I mean, the Pats are a good mid-price choice because they do have the potential to take the ball away, but that Chiefs offense is freaking dynamic. They can throw a lot up. The worst you can do with defense is -4 points, so you need to guarantee that you're going to get at least a couple of sacks, fumbles, whatever. I usually look at defensive pressure rating. Falcons I'll be playing a lot because they're the cheapest, and the Packers are a little depleted. Maybe the Falcons can grab a couple of sacks. If I can afford to, I'd pay up for the Chiefs because they're playing Brian Hoyer and Patriots offense, whose receivers ranked last in the league last year in separation. And they're not doing much better now. Especially if I were going to do that, I would like Mecole Hardman in there because he's on special teams and he can return one. You might as well stack with Hartman and go to get if he returns one, that way you get paid twice. That's really how you do that. And then I'd probably throw Clyde Edwards-Helaire in that lineup as well, because if you're running a defense, sometimes it's not a bad idea to throw the running back in there with the defense. Basically, you're saying the Chiefs are going to be out, they're going to be dominating, so they're going to be handing the ball off more, trying to burn that clock up. That's about it for today. Let's try and make some lineups here real quick on the Draft Dashboard Optimizer. You could always access this for $1 for your first 30 days. Get access to my player pool and all of these tools and research metrics. So oftentimes in optimizers, what they're going to do is they're going to throw the quarterback in the captain spot on a showdown slate because they have the highest median projection. So just be wary of that. I don't think if you're entering 10 lineups, then 1 to 2 should be captain quarterback. Everything else should be wide receiver, running back, or tight end. That is the predominant target share, or winning share, I should say, of DraftKings. On FanDuel, it's a little different. FanDuel doesn't really matter as much. So we got Aaron Rodgers. This is what it shot out based on the player pool. You got the Fresh Prince of Hilaire and Jones, Tyreek Hill, Gage, Edelman, Hayden Hurst, Todd Gurley. It's not a bad lineup. Green Bay Packers. That's the only issue, I guess, is you're playing a lot of people against that lineup. But you're gonna wind up with that more often than not when there's only 2 games. Let's do a FanDuel one. As we wait. There we go. All right, on FanDuel, obviously, Patty Mahomes up top. Fresh Prince of Hilaire, White, Watkins, Julio Jones, N'Keal Harry, Hayden Hurst, Aaron Jones. Not a bad lineup. I would tweak this one a little probably, though. I probably wouldn't want to take James White on FanDuel because FanDuel is much more touchdown dependent. You don't get that bonus for the 100 yards, 300 yards. You don't get the full point per reception. So, let's see. Well, I mean, I do think he's going to find the end zone. But he's not as much of an upside play. I guess we'll leave him in here. He's pretty cheap on that's probably why they threw him in here. He's pretty cheap. As you can see, his draft rank is pretty low. But I really do think they're going to try and get him a touchdown. I mean, this guy is a captain, and he had all this tragedy recently. This is his first game back, so it'd be nice for him. It'd be good for the team. I do not like Sammy Watkins. What do we got here? 75 is kind of expensive for him considering the coverage he's facing. I would probably go and do that and then go after somebody like Nicole here. Maybe I can take KC. How am I doing here? Yeah, something like that. Maybe try to find a way to get Tyreek Hill in there. instead. Yeah. You want a minimum of 2 pass catchers, and this dude isn't really a pass catcher. There you go. You're using all your salary there, though, so you're going to be holding hands with a lot of people on FanDuel. I don't know that you want to do that ever. You always want to leave a little bit. Is Tanyan really more than Hurst? No, okay. All right. Yeah, something like that. That works a lot better. You got your stack, you got your bring back, and then you got a couple of good targets. Jones is going to go off today. Tanyan, pretty good chance. That's a pretty good lineup right there. So, yeah, that's how you do it. Anyway, there'll be a link in the bottom for the 4 people who watch this video in case any of you want to try draft dashboard for $1 for 30 days. It's a great tool. But in any event, I hope everyone wins some money tonight. Yeah, I was pretty happy to regain most of what I lost last night. I wish I would have played basketball a little bit more because I've been crushing it in NBA. I'm going to start making videos next year, I think, because this used to be my favorite, and I love football. It's my favorite sport, but man, am I doing better. NBA DFS is so much easier to deal with than and NFL, especially with the amount of injuries this year. So, hope everyone has a good evening. Hope everyone makes some money. Enjoy the 2 games. I'll be eating a steak, drinking a beer, and smiling because I get to watch football on Monday. Thanks again, everybody. Please hit the thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. It really does help my video. I'm trying to grow this channel a little bit. Got some plans here in the near distant future, making the presentation a little better. Got to get some programs, get some tech IQ going. But yeah, thanks again. See you next time.